Okay, perfect. So this is the HMIS built-in reports training. This is going to be a beginner-friendly class slash tutorial. We're going to learn about some of the reports you have available to you, as well as best practices with running some of these reports. All right, so we're going to take breaks to ask questions, but I wanted to start off at first. If you could just type in the chat on a scale from 1 to 5, how comfortable do you currently feel with using the built-in reports in HMIS? 1 would be, I've never used them at all, I don't know how to use them, and 5 would be that you're very comfortable with them and that you use them all the time. Okay, awesome. I'm seeing a lot of 2s. Oh, we got some 4s. 5, nice. Got some experts in the building. Okay, perfect. It's good to see kind of where everybody is at. So this will be beginner friendly, but we'll go over some more advanced things as well. So hopefully there's something you can take away from it. So for this, I'm going to be sharing my screen. Feel free to pull up HMIS yourself so that you can follow along, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. All right, can everybody see my screen? Perfect. So we're going to be doing this in the training site because a lot of these reports are going to use private client information, and the training site has all fake clients and fake data, so it's perfectly fine to show everything. And it's almost exactly the same as the real site. So this is the training site. This is what the real site looks like. A little bit of a stylistic difference, but essentially the same thing. Okay, now when we're logging in to start running our reports, the first thing that you would like to do is check and make sure that you're logged in under the correct agency. So you're going to go to the right-hand side and below your name, you can click down if you have multiple options. Some people will only have one option and that's fine, but if you have multiple options, you want to make sure that you're under the agency you want to pull the report for, or else you won't be able to see that data. So I want to be in this training agency because that's where I want to pull reports from. And now where are the reports located? So there's 2 different places. The majority of the reports are going to be in the report library. To go to the report library, you're going to click the launcher waffle in the top right corner, and then you're going to select reports. That's going to take you here to the report library where they're sectioned out by category. So all of them are going to be here except for the ones that are called client-based reports. If you're looking for the client-based reports, these are actually going to be on the client's profile. So you would have to navigate to a specific client's profile. And then over here on the right-hand side, we have a little printer icon. When you click on that, it's going to take you to the client reports, which are reports for the individual. Whereas these reports here are going to be aggregated, like usually like group data. Okay, so we're going to start here in this report library. We'll go to the client reports later on. And the majority of reports that you are going to be running are probably going to be here in this program-based report section. This is always a good place to start when looking for a report. And you notice there's so many. So you're like, where do I even start here? A helpful place to start if you're not sure which port you want to run is see on the side here, it says more info. When you click on more info, sometimes there will be a brief description of the report. And then at the bottom, there will be the name of the report with a link. If you click on this name of the report, that's going to take you to an info page on this report. This is on help.bitfocus.com. Bitfocus is the software providers that makes our HMIS software, so that's why it's taking you to Bitfocus. And this is going to give you details about the report. So if you're trying to figure out which one to run and there's so many options, I usually check out these first. It'll tell you about the parameters, which is the options you have for your report, which we'll get into in a second. And then it's even going to give you like a printout of the report. So you don't have to run it first. You can just get this little sample here and then have more information about what's in the report itself. So I always check here when I'm unsure of what a report may be for. Okay. So we're going to just start off by practicing with one of the most common reports, and that is our program roster report. And it's what it sounds like. This is going to give us a list of clients who's in our program. So we go over here on the right-hand side and we'll select Run. This is how we get it started. And now this page has all of the parameters, and that's basically just data speak for the options. These are the options that you're going to select that's going to inform what data is going to go in the report. So because this is a program-based report, the first question is going to be asking, what programs do I want in this report? I only have run one program at this agency, so I'm just going to select this for now, but I'll show you later how to select multiple. And then the next parameter is asking me about status. If I'd never run this before and I wasn't sure what that meant, I could always go back to that, those articles that I showed you how to pull up and look and see what does that mean? It's going to give you all the information about the parameters in these BitFocus articles over here. But I've done this one before, so I can let you all know. We have 3 options here for status, and they're talking about the status of the client's enrollment. They want to know for this report, are you trying to pull in clients who were active during this time, who had a start date, they were enrolled during this time, or who was exited during this time? Okay, and just to let you know, if you choose active, they don't have to be active for every single day of this range of dates you're going to be put in. They just have to be active for at least one day. So I want to know who was in my program in the last week. So I'm going to put active. My next parameter is asking me head of households only. Do I want this report to just show me the head of households, or do I want to see every single person who is in my program? I want to see all the people, so I'm going to put head of households only as no. And now I'm going to set my date range for what dates do I want this data from. I think I said I wanted to do this past week, so I'm going to put last Wednesday as the beginning of my date range, and then I'm going to put this Wednesday as the end of my date range. And now the last question that it's asking me is, what output do I want this report to be shown as? So you have the web page option, which is going to pull it up inside of HMIS. I suggest always starting with the web page because this is going to give you some different functions and options you don't have with the other reports. And then these PDF, Excel, these downloadable reports is usually what I suggest doing after you've already checked it as a web page. Okay, so now I have my parameters set, so I'm going to click submit. And once I click submit, it's going to go into what's called the queue. You'll see this icon, it looks like sliding bars up here. This will pop up, and now it's in the queue, and it'll show my report as pending. The more data that's in a report, the longer it will take to download. Sometimes you'll have to press refresh a few times. And I saw we have a question from Linda. How did you pull up the BitFocus article? Great question. So for that report we just did, so we were in program-based reports. It was this program roster here. When I click more info, there's going to be a description. Sometimes there won't be a description. Sometimes it'll just have the report name, but you'll click on that report name, and then it's going to link you directly to the article. Okay, let's check and make sure that our report is done. So I'm just going to refresh. And now I see up in the corner, my program roster is completed. So I'll select open. And now we're here. We have this web page. And if you've forgotten some of the details that you put in about the report, it will remind you up here at the top. I did this under the MBHI training agency. I looked for active clients, and this is the date range I picked. So you don't have to remember everything. If you're looking for which program that you ran the report for, that will generally be at the very top of the report, or it's going to be at the bottom of my report. Sorry, over here at the bottom of my report. So let's go back to the top. So now this is a program roster for everybody who was active in my program for the last week. So why did I tell you to run this as a web page? This is one of the nice features. Let's see, I'm looking through my program roster and I'm like, okay, this client, I believe they actually exited out of the program, but it's showing that they were still active. I need to exit them out because this information isn't accurate. I can either click on their name right here, or I can click on their ID, and that's now going to take me directly to the profile. Something if you did this as a PDF or Excel, you wouldn't be able to do this. And so now I can just quickly go in, click on their programs, and exit them out. So that's one of those functions that makes your life just a little bit easier. So I'm going to close out of this. Okay, that is the program roster. So we're going to move on to the next one. Does anybody have any questions about that report? Okay, perfect. And if anything comes up later, feel free to ask. So another common report that you may be asked to pull is about what are the demographics of my clients? You have two options here. You can run a demographics report that's service-based. So instead of pulling in clients based on the program that they're in, it's going to pull clients based off of the service that they received. So let's say I have 5 different programs that all offer a case management service, and I just want to know what are the demographics of our clients who receive case management services. I would do this one, the client demographics service base. Alternatively, let's say I want to see who are the demographics of my clients in a specific program. It doesn't matter to me what services they have. I would go down here to this program-based one, scroll all the way down to this client demographics program-based one. And I'm going to show you the difference between those two. But first, I'm going to show you how to pull this service-based one because we already did a program-based one and the options are going to look a little different. So you might also notice down here, why is this duplicated? I'm seeing client demographics flat version, and I'm seeing client demographics service-based. If you see flat version, that just means that there's not going to be pre-made charts and pre-made graphs. It's just going to be the data. So if you're needing to download like an Excel file of the data, you could just go straight to this. But generally, we're going to want those pre-made graphs and reports, right? Because for the demographics, we may need to use this for a grant or a report to like our program manager, something like that. So instead of us making all of these graphs in Excel or whatever software, we can get them automatically. So we are going to click right here on Run. And then for this service-based report, it's going to ask us the service status first. So this is going to be, is the service currently active in HMIS or is it an old service that has been inactivated? So I'm going to say, I want to look at active services. This is going to bring in clients who have this employment assistance service right here. And now I'm going to select the veteran status. So I want to look at clients who have reported themselves to be veterans or not reported themselves to be veterans. I can also select any of these option types, so people who didn't answer the question, or I can select all, so it will pull in both clients who say they are veterans and clients who aren't. Now I'm going to put the date range. So let's say I want to look at everybody who got the employment assistance service from the year of 2023. So I'm going to start here with January 1st. And I'm going to go down here and put December 31st as the last date. So we're going to capture that whole calendar year. And then I'm going to submit this as a web page. Click Run. Okay, so now this is up in our queue again. And like I said, sometimes you just have to click up here, do a refresh a few times. And now here's our report is ready. Okay, so see how I said there would be charts and graphs in this one? So this is one of the nice features that you won't have to build yourself. Now I have this nice graph that has this nice bar chart that has my clients' age demographics. So it looks like most of my clients fall into this 18 to 24 range. I also have gender demographics. You'll get a chart for these as well. Race and ethnicity, veteran status, and if they have their social security number input or not. So this one's not super long, but can still be really helpful. And another reason that I suggested running the web page is because you have something that's called drill down capabilities. That basically just means seeing the data behind the data or going deeper into the data. So for example, let's say I want to know right here, who are the 3 clients that make up this 45 to 54 age range category. I can select this number 3 right here on the web page, and now it's going to give me a list of the clients that make up that number. And again, this is what's called a drill down. So I can also from here, let's say I want to check out their enrollment, I can click on the ID number, and now it's going to take me directly to their page. Okay, let me close out of here. Okay. So how is this different than the program-based one? So I'm going to go back to my reports library. So for the program-based, running down here, we have this client demographics program base. I'll select run. So instead of this one asking me which service that I want to pull people in from, it's going to ask me which program, okay? So that's the main difference here. It's going to include clients based on program. I already ran this one just to save a little bit of time. It's client demographics program based. This one is going to be a little bit longer because it's pulling in enrollment information as well. So you're going to have the same tables as the service one, but some additional ones as well. So this one, we have age, gender, race and ethnicity, disability status. We have the different disabilities broken down by category. So this can be helpful for grants, any sort of reports that you're doing. Okay, and then it also includes chronic homelessness, veteran status, and then this is one of the big differences is this has prior living situation information, so we can see what situation most of our clients are coming in from. It has the numbers behind that as well. We have how long they were in that situation, the income of the clients, and then again, ending with the SSN. All right, and I saw we have a question. They don't see that report. So there are different access levels. And so depending on your access level, some reports may or may not be available to you. So that may be why you're not seeing the service-based one in your reporting library. So I'm going to go back here to reports. Okay. Is there any questions about the demographics report? All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the federal reports. So you may have been asked by a manager, by somebody to run something called an annual performance report or something called an ESG caper, and you're like, I don't know what that is, and I don't know where to start. So these are considered federal reports, and they are under this HUD reports category here. All right, let's say you were asked to run an annual performance report, sometimes also called an APR. You might be confused at first which one to run because you see there's an annual performance report, but then there's also a CE APR. It's going to be this annual performance report one. The CE APR one, you won't be asked to run. I know that's a little confusing, but just remember it's this one that's spelled out annual performance report. And if you're asked to run an ESG caper, it's going to be this one right here underneath the annual performance report. I'm going to switch agencies really quick because I want to show you how to run this report for multiple programs. So I'm going to switch to this agency since they have multiple programs. I'm going to go back to reports. And then I'm going to go down here back to HUD reports. Okay, and let's say I was asked to run this annual performance report, the APR. So we'll select this. This one is going to have a few more options. So I'm doing this for HMIS. The next question is COC filter. COC stands for Continuum of Care. You can think of that like the region that we're in. I always select program COC here. And then you're generally going to select Metropolitan Denver COC unless there's an exception, and you can reach out to me about that if you have any questions. But generally, you're going to be selecting Metropolitan Denver since we're all in Metro Denver. And then the next question is about what project types are we looking for? And this selection here is only going to change what shows up down here in this box. So I'm going to be doing it from a few different project types, so I'll just select all. The next parameter or question that we have is about program status. So do we want to look at all programs, active programs that are currently functioning in HMIS, or inactive programs that are older and closed out? I just want to look at active programs. Okay, and now let's say I was asked to run this on multiple programs. So I go down here and I start clicking on multiple programs, but notice how it deselects when I click on multiple. So you're like, how can I even get this to run for more than one at a time? All you have to do is use the control button on your keyboard. So you'll select the first one and then you'll hit control, select the second one, and then you can keep doing that. Hold control, select another one, release control, hold control, select another one, and that is how you get multiple programs within the same report. Okay, for these next two questions, the answer is basically just remember going to be no and not. So for imply enrollment COC filter, we're not going to worry too much about what this means right now, but just select no here. And then for the funding criteria, select not based on a funding source. So no and not. Then we're going to put the date range for this report, and your date range is going to depend on the grant that you receive. So you will be told what the date range is that you're supposed to use. Let's say we're doing this for 2023. I'm going to start again January 1st, and I am going to end this on December 31st. And now we come to the report output format. When you were asked to run this report, they may have said, we need to do an upload. If they say you need to do an upload, what they're asking for is right here, this CSV upload file. However, again, I suggest running this first as a web page because you're going to be able to check for data accuracy, any data quality issues, before you do the upload, which is really important because this is a federal report, so you want to make sure the data is accurate. And then we would click submit. I already ran this report though because this is a long report. And so it can take a few minutes to load. So just prepare for that. If you are working on this, it may take a few minutes to pop up here. So I already ran one for us so we can see. I'm going to click open here. Because it's a training agency, there's actually not much data in this report, but we can still kind of get a feel for what's going on here. Okay, so again, if you forgot some of the details of your report, they're going to be up here at the top to remind you the report type we ran, And then over here is some of the parameters that we ran it for. And then at the very top of this report, you're going to see all of your programs that you ran it for again. And like I said, this report is so long. You may not even know where to start with this. The good place to start is at the beginning. Check out these first tables here. This beginning table that shows you about the number of clients and the different types of clients you have in your program. And then these next tables that are labeled data quality. This is a great place to start because you can just check and see how accurate your data is. And this report is also going to have those drill down functionalities that we talked about. So that can help you check for things before you submit it. So for example, let's go down here. This is the data quality, income, and housing data. So I am seeing that I have somebody, a number one here. I have a client who's missing their income and sources. I can click on this one. And now it's taken me to this page that shows me, oh, it was Gizmo. They didn't have an exit interview, so that's why we don't have information about their income from when they exited. So there's nothing I can do to change that, but at least it's good to know where this data was coming from. So I'm going to close out of that right here. So that is just showing you how you can basically double check your data. And we're not going to go too deep into the APR because we do have more resources about this on our Zendesk. So if you go to our co-HMIS Zendesk, you can find that we have videos dedicated to running the APR, a video dedicated to running the ESG, which by the way is going to be almost exactly the same as the APR. Those questions that I showed you how to answer, it's going to be very similar. And then we also have a video on troubleshooting data quality issues on your APR if you're confused about why your data looks the way it does. These are all great resources. And then of course, reach out to us at the HMIS Help Desk. But that's just a basic overview of how to get the APR to run. Now let's say that you're working on an APR and you're fixing these data errors and you're running the report over and over and over again, and you don't want to keep answering those same questions. What you can do is you can actually favorite the report. So right here, I'll just click this little star next to the name Annual Performance Report. That'll also help me from running the wrong one. And once I star it, it's going to show up in our favorite reports section up here at the top. I'm going to refresh my page. All right. And now we have the APR saved up here, so I don't even have to look for it. And the other cool thing about when you favorite a report is I can fill out these questions. And then once I fill out these questions, it's going to actually save my responses. So I'll enter in my dates here. And what's nice is because you're going to be probably running this multiple times, you won't have to keep going in and putting in all the same thing over and over and over again. So I've just submitted that so I can show you how it saves those. So now when I go to my favorite reports, the APR, oh, we have to wait till it's done running, sorry. It is going to have those parameters saved. That brings up another point is you can't run two of the same report at the same time, but you can run different reports at the same time. So this APR is running, so I can't do another one. But if I had something else that I wanted to be working on, I could go down and get that started already. So I could go and run my program roster while that one is running. Just note that if you're running a lot of reports at the same time, it is going to slow down the results a little bit. Just because the system is having to pull in a lot of data. Okay, that one's done. So now I can show you how using this favorite option has saved all those options I just selected. So you don't even have to remember what you had to put in the first time. You can just get all those saved if you're running the same report. All right. Any questions about the HUD reports? I see that Gizmo sounds like they're a lot of fun at parties. Gizmo actually stands in the corner at parties because he's a little antisocial. That's funny. So perfect. We're gonna switch over to the client reports for a second, take a break from this reporting library. All right. And I'm gonna make sure I'm in the right agency. I'm gonna go back to the MDHI training agency. Oh, had to answer a call. Where do we find the videos? That's a question in the chat. Yeah, no problem. These videos are going to be on our Zendesk. So HMIS Zendesk. If you forget where our Zendesk is at, you can seriously just type in NDHI Zendesk into Google and it will show up. Do the process reports and schedule reports function on the side, work on live sites? On this, yes. I think if I'm understanding your question, is this also on the live site? Yes, these schedule report functions and the saving report function, these also are exactly the same on the live site as well.
Olive, we got a DM with a question. It says, are social security numbers required? Would that be considered a data quality issue? And then will a program get dinged if they are missing social security numbers for their data quality?
So there's always going to be some missing data because we're working with people. And when you work with people, we're not always going to get every single bit of information, and that's okay. There are standards. It depends on like the grant that you're working with. Um, so there are going to be different standards for like what is an acceptable like amount of errors essentially, but you're probably never going to get zero. But we can follow up about that later. If you have a question about a specific program, you can send us a message and we can help look into that for you. But yeah, sometimes people really worry because they see, oh, I have a few data errors here. Those are completely fine and normal, just as long as you're asking the question to the clients and at least attempting to get that information. That's what's important, in getting as much complete information as you possibly can is what's important there. Okay, so we're going to look at the client reports again. So I'm going to go to one of my clients that's in my program. And again, when we're looking for client reports, it's going to be under this printer icon on the right side of the page. And if you work for a company that has scan cards, this will be important for you. If you guys don't use scan cards, don't worry about this, but you might use them in the future, so this could be helpful to know. So if you need to print a scan card for a client, it's actually going to be located under this client reports section. You don't really think about it like a report, but because it's individual to the client, this is where it's located. And it's this photo ID card. Again, you may not have this option depending on what your level of access is, but generally people with standard access should be able to do this. And then you'll click Run on the scan card, and you won't even get parameters for this one. You're not even going to get options because all the scan card is a download. So see how that downloaded up here in my downloads file? Now I'll bring it over here so y'all can see it. All right. So now I have my scan card for my client and I can print it out. And that was all that we had to do for that. So I'll close that out. So if somebody's lost their card, they need a new one, just go to their profile and then go to client reports. Another really helpful client report is this client case notes report. If you entered notes for your client, this is going to report on all the notes you've entered. And what do I mean by entering notes for the client? If you go here to program, and then you go into the program, you're going to see here at down here is this little notes section. And that's where I can put case management notes, any notes about our interactions or anything like that that's relevant to the client's care. So I'm going to go back to that report. Just wanted to show you where the notes came from. And we're going to run this one together. So I'm going to click run. And this one doesn't have a lot of options. It doesn't have a lot of parameters, which is nice. All I have to do is select the program I'm running it for. The range, I want to look at all of the notes from this year. So I'm going to start January 1st. I'm going to go to July 24th today. And then I'm going to select the output. Do I want it something downloadable? I think I'm just going to do my web page. Click submit. And the client reports are exactly like the reports in the report library. All of them are going to go up here into your little queue. Let's do another refresh. If no, I see a question. If no program name comes up, it's because that program doesn't have any notes entered for the client. So the program name will only show up if a note has already been entered. So that's why you may not be seeing it. Or it can be for if you put a date range first, they might not have any notes for that date range. Okay, our report's ready. Let's check it out. Nice. So now instead of having to open up each note individually, I can look at all of the notes in chronological order and get a little idea of what's going on with this client. So it looks like on June 1st, I referred them to an apartment. On the 1st of July, they moved in. On the 2nd of July, I brought them some furniture. And on the 23rd, I did a housing inspection. So I have all of this right here at my disposal. And you also have some basic information up here about the client as well, just as a reminder. Okay, we have another question that says, where is this report located? No problem. So to find this report, we're going to go to our client's profile. I recently was on this client's profile, so they're going to be on the right-hand side of the screen under recent client searches, but I could also search for them here. And then now that I'm on their profile, I click this printer icon on the right-hand side, which is going to take me to client reports. And then that one that I just did here is called case notes. And that's the one that gave me the information about all their notes. And again, if they don't have notes, you won't have the option to even run that report. So the notes have to already be entered in the enrollment. Another really helpful report in this section that I wish I knew about in the past when I used HMIS as a caseworker is this client summary. And I already ran one, but I'll show you the parameters here. All you have to do is select what output you want it as. You don't even have to answer any other questions. But this client summary is really nice because it's going to give you some basic information about the client. And what this can help with is if you are determining a program to refer them to, a housing project to refer them to, if you're doing some sort of case conferencing or something like that, you have a lot of the data about the client that's entered into HMIS put into these tables. So I have their demographic information, chronic homelessness status, what was the first program that they were enrolled in, if they identify as having any sort of disabilities, if they are a survivor of domestic violence. So all of these things that could potentially be qualifiers for certain programs, I can easily pull up into a singular report for the client. If you have any contact information entered for the client, that would show up here. We also have housing information. So how many shelter stays have they had? How many times have they been in certain housing programs? Things like that that are important to get, and you get them all just at this first glance. You can even get length of stay in certain programs. So I can see by this, okay, they've had 2 rapid rehousing stays, and I can even see how long that they've been in rapid rehousing. It's even going to show me where they exited to. and things like housing move-in date. So you get a lot of really good information here all in one report. And then it will also show if the client has a coordinated entry or a one home assessment and if they're on the queue. So this is great again for if you're looking for eligibility or if you're doing any sort of case conferencing for the client. Now let's say I'm doing a meeting about this client for a program eligibility. Let's say I'm doing this tomorrow and I don't need this report until tomorrow. What you can do is actually schedule the report to run for tomorrow. So I'm going to go back to the client's profile and then go back to that client-based report. Again, it's the printer icon on the right-hand side. In the report we want to run here, client summary, but instead of clicking run, we're going to click schedule. Now, when you schedule the report, you're going to notice a lot of the time that web page option is gone. If you do a schedule, it's going to be usually one of these downloadable files instead. But that's fine because I would like to have a printout anyway of when I go to my meeting. So I want this to run for tomorrow. So I'm going to set it for the 25th. I want it to be a PDF, and then I'm going to click submit. Perfect. So it's been added to the queue, but unlike our other reports, it's not going to run right now. It's scheduled for tomorrow. So it's actually going to run, I believe, overnight. So if you log in really early in the morning, it'll be there for you. And it's going to look like this. It's going to be under this completed section, and it's going to be processed. And when you click open, you will get your PDF. Now, there's a lot of other client reports that are really helpful. I saw Laura say they didn't know about these reports. I didn't either when I used to use HMIS as a case manager, and I wish I did because it really saves a lot of time. But there are so many that we don't even possibly have time to go over all of these. So again, please utilize this more info feature on this right-hand side because again, that's going to take you to these articles. These ones, they don't always have a description here, but that's okay because they have this link here. And when I click that link, it's going to take me to the BitFocus article where it has the description of the report and it's going to have the example of the report. Okay. Are there any questions about client reports? Okay, perfect. So we have one more report that we're going to look at today before we're done. And that is another service-based report because this is a common question that we get, especially for doing grants. They want to know how many times the service was offered. Like, is this a service that's actually utilized or not? So this, under service-based reports, we have one here called service summary, and that's just going to give us a count of the amount of services that have been entered. So I'm going to do this. We only have an employment assistance service here, so I'm going to select that. And I want to know, since the beginning of 2024, how many times have people utilized our employment assistance? So I'm going to start it at the beginning of 2024. I'm going to go till today, click submit. All right, and I see we have a question of how can we favorite a report? No problem. Let's favorite that report that we just did. So I'm going to go back to service-based reports. We are working here on this service summary. To favorite it, all you have to do is click that little star on the right-hand side, and you won't see it immediately show up under the favorites. We can just refresh the page, and then we're going to see it show up here. But it will still be there the next time that you log into HMIS. And if you want to remove the favorites, let's say you stop using it, you can just unselect. And now we're going to refresh. There we go. Now it's no longer there. Okay, let's check this out. Our service summary. Okay, so I remember I wanted to know how many people in 2024 had utilized our employment assistance. Okay, it's looking like we had 10 clients that received this service. This service was given out 10 times, and there were 10 different days on which the service was given out. Who are my clients that receive this service? Again, we can use these web page capabilities. Click on the number, and now I know these are my clients who received this service in 2024. All right. I am going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to see if we have any questions. Is there a way to pull a list of clients in your programs that have an IDD? Erica, can you please tell me what you mean by IDD? I don't think I know what that stands for. Or if somebody else knows. Okay, so probably the quickest way to get a list would be by doing the program demographics report. Let me share my screen again. I think we already have one pulled up actually. Client demographics program based, right? Because that's going to pull in clients based on a specific program. And we want to know the clients in the program who have the intellectual and developmental disability. So I'm going to click on my demographics report that we ran. And then we're going to scroll down. Physical. Okay, we have developmental disability here. And now we can look at this chart. So developmental disability, we had 1,400 clients say no, and we have clients that said yes. So if I click on this right here, at 9, now I have the list of clients in my program who have identified as having a developmental disability. And I want to show you that brought up one more thing that I would like to show you. Let's say you were asking this question of, I want to know who in my program today, who is active in my program today that identifies as having this. I don't want to know about all of 2023 or for the past few months. I just want to know about clients in my program today. To look at information from just today, I'll show you how you set that. So we did that program-based report. Come down to client demographics, set my parameters here. Okay, so we want to see the status of clients today. So we're going to look at active clients, and then all you have to do is set your date range as the same dates. So the beginning is going to be the 24th, and the end is going to be the 24th. And when you do that and set the report date range as the same date, you will get the data from just that one day. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing it again. Okay, are there any more questions at this time? We just have a few minutes left, so I wanted to see if there was anything before we wrap up. But just let us know if anything else comes up. You can always reach out to us at HMIS help at mdhi.org, or you can go to our MDHI Zendesk, where you'll be able to also send us a help desk ticket that way as well.
There was one question from Linda that asked if there's a way to assign a service to an entire caseload.
Assign a service to. Oh, sorry. Okay, is there a way to assign a service to an entire caseload? I don't believe so. Unfortunately, that is not currently something that BitFocus offers, and you do have to enter those in per client. I see we have some more questions in the chat. Are there guidelines for the HMIS annual report and the HMIS and the HUD around the percentage issue rates? Yes. So James, I'm going to send you a follow-up on that because there is more information, but it's a lot to pull up in this last few minutes here. So I'll write that down. Okay. And then let's see. Are we able to share this recorded video? Yes, this video is going to be on our MDHI Zendesk, so you'll be able to access this at any time. And like I said, there's also a few other videos that we already have on running ESG capers and APR and program rosters. So if you ever need a refresher, please always check there. All right. And that is all of the questions I'm seeing for now. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. But I just wanted to say thank you so much to everybody who joined. I hope that you were able to take away something from this, help you feel a little bit more confident with using those reports. I wish I was able to show you even more because there's a lot of capabilities that you have with these built-in reports. And as always, reach out to us on the help desk or check out the articles that we have on the Zendesk as well. Thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna stop the recording.